I think you've said that it's difficult, or that you don't particularly feel like picking out favorite campaigns because, you know, it's depressing to believe that your best work is done already. So I won't ask you that. But what I'd like to ask you is, like the Johnny Walker campaign and how you've distilled it into explaining how, you know, great ideas can create advertising magic. Do you want to do that for Levi's?
Well, yeah, we can talk about Levi's. I mean, you know, we worked with Levi's for sort of 25, 26 years.
It was the account that helped you open the
it was
innings
one of our
for
first
BBH,
three
isn't
accounts,
it? Yeah.
and it was a defining account for us, and it was a wonderful piece of business to work on. It helped define my career. I will always be eternally grateful to them. But you know, what happens in life is things change. You know, you change, the brand change, they want different things.
What does that mean? Because I've been reading, you said you parted company because you all had different agendas. When do agencies and their brands start having different agendas? I mean,
well,
how does that happen?
That can happen because, you know, advertising, you know, and salesmanship is an art, it's not a science, and therefore it's very emotional. What you think is right for a brand and what a client maybe thinks is right for their brand can differ and will differ
and
over
especially
time.
when you have had the kind of relationship, the long-term relationship that you had with the brand.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, you've got to understand too that Levi's were going through a very difficult spot. They were over leveraged. They really had to get a better return on their investment. Their investment in marketing and advertising was reducing. They were no longer producing the big award-winning or the big dramatic ideas that we love producing. And our agendas, you know, separated. It doesn't mean to say we're right and they're wrong, or that they're right and we're wrong. I mean, it was just different. Those things happen. All good things come to an end.
Was it an emotional decision for you?
It was a sort of practical decision in a way. I mean, I think that it was obvious that it was coming to an end. A bit sometimes like a relationship, you know. You kind of know this should be over, and it sometimes takes time for everybody to agree that, hey, you know, maybe we should all part.
Okay, so tell me, when you decided to cast for one of those famous commercials and Brad Pitt's photograph appeared, what happened? You looked at it and said, oh,
he looks interesting.
Bad-looking guy.
He looks interesting. He could be good, and I think he can act. So we must be able to write him into one of our parts. But I think the funniest one is when we decided that, you know, we had produced something like 23, 24 of these commercials with these handsome, wonderful guys, and we thought we must move it on somehow. And we thought, well, instead of it being one guy, maybe it's about a partnership. Maybe it's about So I had this thought, and Philippa Crane, one of our brilliant producers, had shown me this work of a director about a character. And we were then working on the Levi's part, and we were talking about, you know, having two people, having a sort of, you know, a relationship, you know, and on the road. And I thought this is very, very Kerouac, on the road. And so I got the credit team to write an idea around Jack Kerouac and the idea of being on the road. And I took it to present it to Levi's, and I said, this is the new idea. Imagine Kerouac on the road. This is the relationship. Blah, blah, blah. Went through a spot, and they were going, yeah, no, we really like this. This is really, really good. We think it's really cool. Blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah. I said, there's one thing I haven't told you. And I said, oh, what's that? And I said, one of the characters is a fluffy yellow puppet. And I went, what? Yeah, he's called Flat Eric. He's a fluffy yellow puppet. And that was a great moment when you suddenly realized, oh my God, have they gone mad? Have they gone completely barking mad? And fortunately, they agreed to make it. And of course, it turned into the phenomenal success it was. So, you know, sometimes you've got to encourage a client, you know, to be different. You've got to embrace difference. And that was a wonderful example of embracing difference and seeing how it really helped transform the communication of that brand at that particular moment in time.
When you were telling us about Levi's just now, you talked about the fact that they stopped doing what you love to do, which is the big idea, the big scale. Interestingly, television, I think, is something that you believe very strongly in, and it looks like people are beginning to believe in it again, isn't it?
Well, you know,
do you feel vindicated?
Yes, well, sort of. There's an element of vindication there. I don't mind saying, but I mean, it was. Aaron Sorkin was talking here at the festival, and about how television is where all the great things are happening. Hollywood is trying to get into television, and I've always believed in television. I think it's the most fantastic medium. I always used to say, you know, if you took a person's computer away from them, they'd be really annoyed. If they took their mobile phone away from them, they'd be absolutely angry. If you took their television away from them, there'd be riots in the streets, you know. I mean, people love watching television. You know, in the UK, television viewing has remained, over the last 10 or 12 years, has remained constant at about, on average, 4 hours a day. People are spending 4 hours a day in front of this piece of equipment. They obviously love it. I think the great problem is our industry fell out of love with it. And in a sense, I think the television industry fell out of love with television.
Not enough resources being put
Not enough
into it.
resources. They were making the kind of programs that people wanted to watch, you know, but now they've come back.
How do you react to the thought that television doesn't need to be seen as the box in your living room or bedroom or wherever it is these days, but that it could be the mobile phone and the computer? Is that something that you buy into?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that the world is going mobile. I don't want to be attached to something. I want things when I can watch them, or when I can indulge in them, or when I can partake of them. The idea that I'm limited by some wires plugged into a wall is to me very annoying. You know, so our definition of television begins to change. But television is just entertainment. You know, it's information and entertainment. I watch the news for information. I watch shows for entertainment. So the way it's going to change, the way we will consume it, of course, will differ enormously, but the essence of television won't change. We want great stories told to us in interesting ways. And you know, mankind has been doing that for the last 100,000 years. Digital technology has not changed that. Some fundamentals remain the same. The advantage of being around as long as I have, slightly embarrassing, you know, is that you kind of have seen these debates before. You know, this is the end of this, and this is going to be that, and then you're all over for newspapers, it's all over for radio, cinema is dead, and then suddenly people start doing interesting things in it, and it revives it.
Are you saying that you don't think it's all over for newspapers?
I don't. I really genuinely don't. I think
the paper newspaper, you don't think it's over for it?
I think, you know, what iPad is going to do, I think all those technology devices are going to liberate newspaper. I think newspapers have got to work out how they're going to work with them. But people love reading newspapers. You know, I mean, yes, of course, they're not buying as many, because there are many more ways of doing things. But maybe, you know, there were just too many in the first place. You know, now we've got to realize, what are you doing to make yourself interesting? How are you delivering the news in a way which I want?